Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are like me and you want to have quick access to high pressure water with your pressure washer in your garage, especially if you're like me and you live in a cold environment, and the only time you can use that pressure washer traditionally is when your hoses aren't frozen and the winter just goes all to hell and your garage gets covered in muck from the snowy roads coming off of your car, then this video is for you. I'm going to take this pressure washer and modify it, or at least dismount it from the cart that it's in, get it mounted on the wall over there by the entrance to the garage, and I'm gonna tap some cold water in my basement, run it through the wall, and we'll get it connected to this pressure washer. But that's not all. I also have a water softener on order, and we're gonna hook that up. So this should be a spotless rinse. So I can keep the cars clean. I can clean anything without having to worry about mineral buildup, and keep this garage floor clean in the dead of winter when it gets nasty. So stick around and enjoy the show. These are all the parts that I bought. This is a 50-foot irrigation hose with garden hose connectors. That's gonna connect from the tap that we're gonna run into the wall over there by the stairs from the basement. And then I have two 10-foot lengths of PEX. You can buy just a roll of that and then cut it to the length you want, or that seemed overkill, so I just bought two lengths and a coupler. Then I have a T connector to tap into existing lines in the basement, and the cable routing pieces here, so it looks nice and tidy. That's really should be all there is to it. Let's get started. All right, so I measured where this should come out, where I want it, right up in there. I'm gonna pull the insulation out of the subfloor area, and we should have a little bit of a plywood firewall. I'm gonna drill through there with probably a 3/4 inch fluted bit. And we'll see what happens. It should go in the right spot. Worst case scenario, these things can always be plugged up and patched. All right, so before I go full 3/4, I'm just using this 3/16 inch bit to pilot it. And hopefully it'll be long enough to go through. That way I can check without causing a giant hole that's harder to repair. I'm gonna go check in the garage and see where that ended up. That's what I like to see. We're just a couple feet over from the stairs, which is right about where I hoped it would end up. So I'm gonna use this 3/4 inch bit. That's just wide enough to clear the outside diameter of the PEX. Sweet. Okay, I highly recommend you use a PEX tool or a pipe cutting tool. I didn't feel like going up to my shop, so I'm using a pocket knife. I can see a little bit of air getting in there, even though I've been draining the main for like 5-10 minutes. Let's just let that go, because now there's air coming in. Let's let the rest of that water go through. I do need to get my tool. I didn't make that straight enough, and you only have so much room. I made it on an angle. If you don't have, there's an O-ring in here. If you don't have a flush square cut on there, then the O-ring may not seal. All right, now those are square. Push that on until it stops on both sides. Make sure you go all the way. It feels like it's in there, and then you got to get past that O-ring and give it a little extra push. Come off our T connection here. Okay, there's our hole. Yeah, there's our PEX going in the hole. We're gonna get a little extra there, and then we'll cut it off where the coupling goes. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it right there, and then we'll get those connected. All right. There we go. And then there we go. These are the 1/2 inch PEX connector clamps. I'm gonna put a series of them probably every couple feet up like that, and then clamp them down. All right, guys, I know what you're thinking. Be easy on me. I didn't mean for it to stick out like that far. I better cover that up before the wife gets home. All right, I could technically cut that, but it pushes in far enough and it's not crimping. I'm just gonna go with that. And there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and screw it in just like that. Go ahead and close that. I'll lock it a lot. Love how easy this PEX is. I'm gonna go inside the basement. We'll turn the water on, do a pressure test. All right, we pressure tested and there's no leaks, fortunately. So I'm gonna go ahead and seal the back of this hole. I believe it's required by code. Make sure you guys follow the code for this in whatever area you live in, and do it at your own risk. Because if you do miss one of those seals, for example, it could flood your house. So always double check when you do these kinds of things. All right. So these PEX clips were not working out so well for this, this irrigation hose. The hose that we're working with now is bigger outer diameter, and that nail is not deep enough to go into the drywall with that piece on. So we just cut that piece off and we're clipping it in like that, and those seem to be getting into enough wood to hold it steady. All right, so here's the pressure washer. I want to ultimately just take this motor off of the frame, and I'm going to use this steel mounting plate here because this is threaded into the body of the motor. Well, at least some tabs that come off. So I'm going to pull these bolts, and I'm going to cut this piece of solid wood breadboard, and that way I can thread directly into it with some wood screws, and I can thread the center of this into the studs in the wall with wood screws, which I'll do first. So this is going to get cut just slightly wider than the space there, so that way I've got some meat to screw into after I get the wood mounted to the wall. There we go. I'll lock it a lot. All right, so this is how it's gonna go. We'll get these pre-drilled, so that way all I need to do is level the board and install it, and then if this is square to the board, it'll be level once we put it on the wall. That way we're not holding this awkward thing trying to level it while we're screwing it in to the board. All right, this is a self-centering drill bit by Make It Snappy. Love these things. Find the center of your hole, even just to mark it, real handy. Okay, this doesn't have to be rocket science. We're about 15 inches, so center line is 7.5. I'm gonna put some holes there to go into the studs. That way the machine is centered over the studs. So I drilled some 1/2-inch diameter holes about half the thickness of the board, so that way when I put my 3-inch deck screws in there, they're not only, you know, they'll have more biting into the stud, because we also have to go through 5/8 inch of drywall too. So we held the machine up here to make sure it would fit, and then put the block where it needed to be, leveled it, and drew the lines. That way I can just put one of these in, and then I just can adjust to be parallel with that line, so we hit level. All right, so I'm gonna have my cameraman hold it up for me in a second and screw it in. You guys are just gonna have to wait. All right, that's a wrap for today. Got to wait for that softener to come in on Monday, but everything's set. We're just gonna mount it down there and get it connected and see how it works. Packages arrived. This is the mount that I ordered for it. There's several options. Most of them I found were plastic. For the same price, you can get this metal one, and it fits just perfect. It has these rubber pads on it to protect canister. This is actually a propane tank holder, but because we're going down a stud, I wanted to be right in the center where those two are. I could technically repurpose those holes, but I think I'll keep those there to protect the canister and drill a couple extra ones and throw some cabinet screws in there to mount it. Then we'll go ahead and get this set up. I won't bore you with the assembly instructions that comes with them. The purpose of this film is to show you guys how to make spotless car washes right out of your garage. Check the links below in the description for all these parts if you guys want to do this at home. All right. I used one of these center punches again to mark the spot so the drill bit wouldn't wander. And then I used a stepped drill bit. Buy this. It will save you so much time and money in the long run. Yes, they're expensive, probably the price of an entire set of fluted bits, but they go right through this. And it actually is like basically a set of bits because each one of those steps is a different size up. So I got it started with those, and I'm gonna step it up just big enough to clear that the cabinet screw. You can see where the stud is from the drywall screw head there. I just marked a vertical line, and I'll position those holes right on that line, and that'll make a vertical stand. All right, there's the mount. With the tie in there, it's gonna go ahead and get that strapped in. Strapped in, if you guys do end up buying, this is the 10-pound propane holder. This was barely big enough, and I had to take it, I had to thread it in there. I had to just put it through where that screw was in order to make it fit. The 20-pound holder will fit easier, but it's also twice the price and bigger. So this works, just limited space. Set up, we had a little water leak, I corrected that. Everything's tied in and it's solid. Got the car here, and you can see I've let it go a while since the last time I cleaned it, probably a few weeks. There's a nice quartz coating on there. I'm gonna go ahead and wash it just without soap, see what happens. That's all she wrote. I'm gonna go ahead and move the car. Maybe I'll put it in the sun so it dries faster. For the sake of this test, I don't wanna wipe it. I wanna see what kind of water spots we get. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but I think it came out pretty good. There's a little bit of spots where I just think any of the spots that are showing is from me not using soap to get the dirt off, but pretty happy. And I'll do another car tomorrow with sun. It got dark, so I had to pull it in the garage. You can't really tell. A lot of extra parts I didn't expect, including this splitter. So I decided to add it on because now I actually have a tap that I can run directly into this, my soap bucket here, which I've got filled with soap. And that's just makes life a lot easier. I don't have to go to the backyard and fill this up in the back where the hoses are frozen. This will be in the garage, thawed out even in wintertime. See how much dirt just comes off on the wheels. If you have a good ceramic job on there, you should just have to blow these off. There's the fully washed car, and we could just wait for those to dry. Car washes have blowers at the end, so why not? Just give this a try. That's not bad for a blower. Got most of the dots off, but we're just gonna let it dry and see if we get any spots. Wheels look nice. The window. There's a little bit of spotting, but not bad. I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with one of these, but it's not like, this is pretty hard water. I would say, wouldn't hurt to throw some extra salt in that thing if you have a lot of hard water. But otherwise, I mean, that's pretty impressive for not using a towel on any of that. And it's gonna save a lot of time. I think we can just blow this thing off once a week without even using soap, unless it's real natural. There you have it, everyone. If you're ever wondering, should I soften my water and use a pressure washer? In my opinion, if you've already got the pressure washer, it's only another $250, $300 for this on Amazon, and I'll put that link in the notes, the description. Please use those, by the way, if you are gonna buy them, because that does help me. I'll also throw a pressure washer in there that I think fits the bill. I think this one's probably about $150. Might even be able to find one for you that doesn't come with the wheels. You could just get it right on the wall. And definitely would do this again. I'm excited. The floor's clean. That took me like 10 minutes. Just the fact of having even just the pressure washer mounted here and the water run to it is a huge time saver. And if you're in a cold climate like me, it means you can actually pressure wash in the wintertime because you don't have hoses like with solid ice in them. So that alone was a game changer. And for another $150 to connect that water softener, I think it's the way to go. All in, $500, tons of convenience. If you wash your own cars, or if you're thinking about you doing that instead of the car wash, This will eventually pay for itself. I think with 3 cars at 35 bucks a month each, you know, it's only gonna take a few months to pay for that. And I washed this car in about the same amount of time it took to go to the car wash and come back, and it looks fantastic. Way better job than the car wash, and it's not damaging the car either. I know there's no one's mud, like one of these didn't go there before I put the nice car through. And so if you care about your car, care about money, care about time, I think this is a win. If you enjoyed that video, please check out the channel. Everything I do here is like thinking outside the box, how to make life easier. Like this light that I did here, I converted this ring light to accept screw-in bulbs. I'll link that one in the next video. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe. It certainly helps the channel grow and helps get this information out to everyone. Thanks again for watching.